I haven't filmed this from the start, but I'm pulling the Carbys back off the VFR750. It's a 1995 model, Australian delivered model. I'm just gonna pull this apart and hopefully I can put it back together. This will be the first time I've actually pulled Carbys completely apart on the VFR, so apparently they're very fiddly. You know, you've got to undo these 10mm nuts here, here, there, and on this side as well. Obviously take the choke assemblies out both sides. I'll remove all the breather and the fuel lines. These two fuel lines, one there and one runs, these are the fuel lines here, one to these, 1 and 3, and then the second fuel line goes to this T-piece 2 and 4. I do have new seals from V4 Dreams, and I've got some new fuel lines, and these are from V4 Dreams too. These are for the fuel rails. Apparently the fuel rails are really fragile, so I'm hoping I don't break those. If I do, I'll have to buy some off online, and there is an online joint that sells the metal ones that are replacements. And I've got all this kit here from Light Tech. I bought this last time I rebuilt, but I didn't use it. I just used this repair kit, which I got from Motorcycle Spares Warehouse, I think. It is, what's the date today? Let's have a look, it's the 6th of August 2023. What I'm going to do though is just pull the bowls off. You can see I've already done number 1. Remove all the bits and pieces, because then I'll take apart all these linkages, the chokes. I've got choke seals. Just going to go through and replace everything that I can. So I've just marked the base of the carbs as well, because the bowls are obviously coming off. I've already emptied these of fuel. So they're all beautifully clean from last time I cleaned it, which, you know, really was probably only 1,000 k's ago, really, a couple of years. Honda are so cool with the way they do things. Where's my tweezers? Well, this piece here has a little hole in it, so you can slide the float pin through it when you want to remove it. How cool is that? Number 2. Needles are good. No fuel in the float. Jeez, my eyes are getting bad. Yes, that's 125. The pilots and mains in here at the moment are not genuine cane. They're from the this kit that I bought last time I did the carbs, keister. But I've bought genuine ones to go back in. So the orientation for these is spring, washer, then O-ring. These are not genuine either. These came in that kit. I might go back to the genuine cane ones actually. And all these screws are JIS, Japanese. So you get the special JIS screwdrivers. You can tell the JIS screws by that little dot on the head there. And then these are from a, obviously it's a 95 VFR, so that's, you know, the generation is RC36-2, 94 to 97. And these seats, where the needles go, they're not removable, so don't try and remove those, otherwise you'll ruin them. These tubes here get gummed up with old fuel. I think they're called emulsion tubes, not 100% sure. I'm not a mechanic, I'm just a backyard guy. I am a tradesman, but not a mechanic. I'm an electrician by trade. But I've always mucked around with motorbikes, cars. Beautifully clean still. There's a little bit going there, what's that? No. Take these diaphragms out. Now, you remember the little black screws that I've got in my containers here, the ones with the washers are for the diaphragm covers. The ones without the washers are for the hold down clamps for the inlet trumpets. So this little spring on here retains just there. This is where the clutch cable goes. So there, that's a smooth operation. I did clean these last time, but I'll pull it out again. Okay, so these little suckers, there's two of those. One was sitting underneath the spring, but it looks like we've got one sitting there, and then the other one under the spring. Yeah, right. So this needle has a little, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but well, yeah, I can see it on the screen. It's got a little bit of a wear mark, but can't feel it. I can only see it. I think they're standard needles. And beautifully clean. Last time when I pulled these apart, the sub-air filter crap was all in here. It was filthy, absolutely disgusting. So I mean, look, these are probably really in a condition where I don't need to pull them apart, but I'm going to replace those fuel lines anyway while I got it apart, as soon as I bought them off V4 Dreams. So this will be number 3, yep. And I just want to get them into the... I've ordered a new ultrasonic cleaner, which, because the one I've got is just actually very small. It's more a jewellery one, but I've ordered one that's a nice large 30 litre one, so I can actually put larger items in, and I'll give them a good going over, good clean. These needles, you can take them out of here. I didn't do last time. So I just removed the air cut valve from number 1, which is this little unit. They are worth 150 odd pounds, so be very careful. There's 2 O-rings on this little brass sleeve, and there's 1 O-ring on there. The little brass sleeve goes in here, and then O-ring goes in this larger area here. In the light tech kit that I bought, you get the air cut valve O-rings, so they're the larger ones, and you get 8 of the little ones which go on the brass sleeves, and that'll be those suckers in there. So I'm going to take all them out, because last time I did clean these, I cleaned them with carb cleaner, and that's not good for rubber. So even though I haven't had an issue with these, I don't think I'm going to replace those while everything's apart. You can only get to 2 of these valves with the carbs together, because the other 2, well, I suppose you could get to it if you remove these pipes, but there's one down in there, and the other one will be down in there. So I'll now remove this one, which is carb number 4. And we'll be back. So here you can see this is the number 4. So there's the little brass tube there. And there's a little O-ring down in here. Apparently the OEM ones of these have a flat side and a rounded side. The flat side is to go to the carb body, as per the service manual. They're still pliable. But I'll replace them anyway. Now I'm going to replace these, so I'll just pinch onto that seal, pull that tube. Yeah. Oh, there's a bit of grunge on that. So these can go into the ultrasonic as well. So the small end of that brass tube goes into the air cutoff valve. I'm just going to put those on there. This is number 4, I think. Yeah. And the screw that holds it in, I'll put back in the carb body, so I don't lose it. Lots of little screws. So this is the choke plunger. So I do have new seals for these. When I go to separate these, this spring, obviously I'm just going to take that spring out of there. So this is between 2 and 4. That spring goes in there. And that's shorter than the spring between 1 and 3. You'll see the difference there. So the larger spring between 1 and 3, the shorter spring between 2 and 4. That's those linkages, so that's the choke. So that whole linkage, that'll just pop off. It's got a... Yeah, I should just be able to slide that entire linkage off when I separate those. Oh, look, that fuel line's just popped out of there nicely. This is going to be interesting, getting this sucker back together. Now see this bracket here? That bracket is for the choke cable, and that's on carb number 4. I wonder if they're the same. No, they're not. So this one, which is the longer spacer, goes between carbs 2 and 4. So let's just pull this out. And there's a little spacer in there as well. It's there, which looks to be the same as that one, but we'll have a look. Oh, that's interesting too. They're different lengths. So on the outside of the carb, between 2 and 4, that's 210 mil. The one that joins the two banks together in the centre is 240 mil. Alright. So there's 2 at 210 and 1 at 240. I wonder what causes this. What causes that white grubbiness, oxidisation? Let me know. So 1 and 4 have to come off first. Should just pull that. That's it. Now, you got a little metal washer, then a nylon washer, then a brass washer, which is part of, okay, that's part of the assembly. I'll leave that there. The nylon, there's another nylon one already at the other end of the brass assembly, which, oh yeah, that's pressed in there, that's okay. And I'll just put this split pin back in here, just for safekeeping, so I know what goes where, even though I will replace that. Okay. So now, should be able to pull that out of there. That becomes separated. That's carb number 1. Yeah, ladies from there. So now I'm taking out number 2. Number 2's away. So that was number 4. I'm left with number 3. So this is cool. This is Honda, mate. Look, you know, little hole in the bracket that holds everything together for the fuel hose to go through, and there's a cutout for the fuel hose and the rear bank fuel hose. Actually, that's the 2 and 4 of the front bank, 1 and 3 of the rear bank. Love the way Honda's put these together. Righto, now, so this spacer here, which joins the front and rear banks of carbs, is the same size as that one there, but it doesn't have any nipples on it. It just goes in there by itself. So the 2 and the 4 one, and I'm going to mark this one. So this is 1 and 3. Now I'll just remove that fuel line. Pull him out of there. Now I've got a little spring down here that's just popped out, which is from this throttle body here. this is the corresponding screw that goes in there. Just get a bit of a view here of the arrangement of the fuel hoses. And so these fuel hoses, you know, put them back together like that through that assembly. So the long hose, the short hose, poke them through there, get that assembly right, get it to sit there like that with the choke linkage. Then on this side, number 3 Carby, assemble this one up with the air hoses like this. These are the breather hoses for the Carby. The large one sitting underneath the small one. So the large one in there. Yeah, this is going to be fun putting this back together. And then the small air breather hose can come out of there. Now I'll obviously clean all these up. And there's the number 3 Carby. And I can put these into hot water and remove them off the fuel lines. That feels loose. It is. Look at that. So those O-rings will be replaced. These are apparently exactly the same. Yeah. Betcha that just twists off as well. Sweet. So this side here is the fuel inlet from the fuel pump, the larger one. Well, I can use those ones, or I can use the ones from this kit. They're both Vuitton. Vuitton from V4 Dreams. This guy's really good. He's got some really good information on his site. Again here we've got a metal washer, a nylon washer, then the link and another nylon washer. So I'll put the nylon washers and the metal washer back on. Just put the split pin through just to hold it all together, but I will obviously replace those split pins. Where the needle and seat, well, where the fuel needle goes in there, and there's a little fuel filter on the base of it in there. So that's where the fuel goes into the Carby. Good on you, Honda. Here's what I was saying about those springs. So this is Carby number 3. So that spring just there, I'm just mucking around, blowing a bit of air through the passages, and it's loose. So that's one of, well, there's another one, on number 2. And that one's on number 4, that one just there. they're probably easy to lose. It'll just, you know, pop off there. So I might just take that spring off there and put that in number 3's container. Do the same with these ones. That's number 4. And number 2. Number 2 looks like it's jammed in there pretty good. I'm going to leave that one. So I'm just going to go ahead now and just blow a bit of air through all the passages for all these Carbys. And yeah, look, everything just needs a clean up. That needs a good clean up. You know, I'll treat these hoses with some probably Aerospace 303 just to give them a bit of, you know, a bit of a drink to help lubricate them, help moisten them, and then just clean up, and then hopefully my ultrasonic cleaner turns up tomorrow and I can start doing the Carbys, start putting them in. Good, oh, happy with that. Okay, so I used quadruple O fine steel wool to polish up the brass components of the Carby, so all the jets. So I did have caster jets in there, and they came from this pack that I bought last time I rebuilt. But what I did is I took the original Honda jets. These are all the original Honda brass pieces, and I polished them up using all the original Honda jets, going back all original, and yeah, I'll start putting it back together. I won't get everything done today, but yeah, just make my way through it. So a little mistake there, that's, these screws are not for the bottom of the bowl. These are the little 8mm ones. too wide. Where's my other? This is the one. Right. Half, 1, 1.5, 1.75. 1.75 is standard for this model. Right, so that's beautiful. Alright, well that's one Carby, so that's what I'll do for the rest of them. Cool. So what I found, it's easy, or makes things a little bit easier, just to get this centre rod in. Just get that spacer in there between the bracket and number 3. Run the rod through number 2 Carby. I'll obviously remove that once I get the other Carbys in place, so as I can run it through number 4 and 1. The next one to go on will be number 1. I've put the throttle linkage back on. I've lubed up the O-rings, just waiting to see how this sits before I cut the end of it, which goes on there. Back in a minute. So this is a very, very tricky thing to do, pulling these apart, and it takes a lot of patience. So I'm just about to put the number 4 Carby on. Very tricky. So yeah, word of warning, don't do this unless you've got a bit of patience. Right, I've got them back together. I did struggle with these fuel lines though. The original fuel lines have these covers on them. They run through here, but I found them, they were a bit thick, and I couldn't get it to sit properly. Look, I removed them. I'm going to keep them just in case I get fuel evaporation. Maybe they're there just to, well, they're probably there to protect the bloody fuel line. Anyway, I'm just doing a bench sink. So this is the reference Carby. Put the light behind there. You can just see it cracking through. A little bit of too much bloody daylight coming through there for my liking. Just bench sinking the carbs, I found that the throttle blades do move slightly side to side, and that's why I was getting that little bit of light coming through. So I've bench synced the carbs from number 1, then I've done number 3, then I've done number 2, then I've done number 4. Okay, so I ordered some shims got some shims here. These are 0.3 millimeter shims. I've just measured 4 to put into the Carbys. They're 0.29 each, and the original shims on these needles, they're 0.49. These needles are really expensive. They're like $60, 60 Australian dollars each. Now a couple of my needles, I don't know if you can see that, have got this little wear on them. I can't feel anything with my fingernail, it's just like it's polished. So I'm going to put them back in as they are with these additional shims to try and get a little bit more mid-range. I've got new shim O-rings. I've lubed them up with a little bit of silicone grease. This is Carby number 2 I'm doing at the moment. That screw doesn't belong in there. You just use a 4mm screw to put in there to pull that out. So actually I want to leave that like that. So this is number 2, which is this Carby here, I think. Yes. You just got to make sure you orientate this correctly with the, well, you can't really muck it up. Just make sure that's in there properly. Didn't mean to power that off. So this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the screw that I used to screw into the needle slide there to pull that needle holder out was one of the screws from here. Okay, I originally put the spring on this post, which was wrong. It needed to go on this outside post. So now, beautiful, smooth operation. And the larger flat area of this spring retainer clip bit here comes out here. The small bit fits beautifully under the casting there. Just there. So I'll just do the same for the other side. So the spring will go on the outside post with the small clip at the back. Then we have the stepped washer, sits on top. washer on top of that one. Pick up the retaining clip. Be nice if I had an electroplater in town. I would have got all these redone, all these brackets. Nice and smooth, beautiful choke operation. Awesome. So I've just finished putting the inlet trumpets back on the VFR750 Carbies. What I did, because these I ultrasonic cleaned these, and I got some strange like discoloration. Weird. See that little white stuff down there? That's anyway, just a discoloration in the aluminium, I think. Anyway, so when I was putting these on, these are pretty difficult to align. So what I did was pulled these, actually it was around the other way, so I put the taller trumpets on 2 and 4. I pulled them up and then just put some tape around here to hold them up and back, and then I sat them on and then just wiggled these ones down. Went in beautifully, so didn't take long at all. I'll just bend over these screw caps and we'll be ready to go in a minute. So I've had the Carby sitting here for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. I've filled the bowls with fuel. Just got the fuel line taped up there so it doesn't leak. Got no leakage. And now I'm going to put them back together. Throttle cables, choke, fuel, and fuel to the from the tank to the carbs, breathers. So here we go. So when using this, I replaced the fuel lines on the carbs, and I've used the Motion Pro Tygon fuel line, but I was getting a kink in this one, so I've just put a compression spring on there, just to keep the bending radius, and it's worked beautifully. And this is the compression spring that I used. Not sure if that's actually too visible, but there you go. Righto, got the fuel hooked up. Just going to see if it'll start. So this is bench sync the Carbies. I haven't done anything else. I'll obviously have to sync them and set the air fuel screws. So here we go. Choke on. Bit of a hair or something in there. Well, they started straight away. How about that? So choke on. Bike hasn't been started for maybe 8 weeks. Pre-built Carbys and away it goes. Love it.